Here we
I
go.
get it.
Are you ready to drink in the fine wine that is me?
Oh, are you kidding? I'm ready. I was born ready.
I like your attitude, Bob. Look at that backdrop. You are going abstract impressionista. I
That's
like it.
it. Yeah, I'm a visual artist on the side, so that's my original. I'll get your address at the end. I'll send you a sticker in the mail.
Well, I have an appreciation for three types of artists because I fancy myself. I'm pretty good at things, Bob. I'm not gonna lie. I learn things pretty quickly. I'm not always great at them, but I pick them up quickly. Pottery kicked my ass.
Yeah.
Painting kicked my ass.
Yeah.
Photography kicked my ass. So anytime anybody paints anything that doesn't look like a child's vomit, I'm like, that's incredible. So I appreciate what I actually like that.
Thank you. Yeah. That's that original one. My wife's a fifth grade teacher. It's in her room right now. So it's based off of that. My old logo, she was like, we got to come up with a new logo. So I was like, all right, I'm going to pick a new painting. And that was it. So it worked.
Well, I like you bringing your creative feminine side to the world. Also, I do a lot of podcasts and they have these fake backdrops that look like a dentist's office. And I like that
Yeah.
Bob was like, no, I'm going to show my art, which I appreciate. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate, yeah, I'll get a sticker in the mail when this is all done, but it is great to meet you. And I want to begin our conversation with, where are you located first and foremost?
Well, I'm originally from Berkeley, California, but about 10 years ago, I left the US and I live in a different country every year. So I'm always just bouncing around. I was just in Estonia for a year, and actually, I'm down on the southern coast of England right now.
Okay, cool, man. Very cool. I'm in the middle of America. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Well, I have a deep appreciation for the Midwest and the middle. Uh, yeah, I grew up in Snooty Pants, California, but in college, my roommate was from Illinois, and I spent the summer in Illinois, and I got to experience like a Midwest family and Midwestern values. I got to experience a Midwestern Christmas, which for a Jewish boy blew my mind. Christmas rocks, Hanukkah sucks. So, I fortunately. I've also been to Kansas because when I was a college speaker, I went there many times. But I just appreciate Middle America, and I'm sorry that my liberal elite brothers and sisters poop on you. You don't deserve it. It's a wonderful part of the country with wonderful people.
Yeah, we definitely, where I'm at, especially in the Kansas City area, we definitely carry the blue quite a bit. And we are just as disgusted with the things that are going on that everybody in the big states are. So we're pulling for the same team here. That's for sure.
Team sanity.
That's right. Team logic. You know? It's wild.
Well,
Crazy
good.
times.
Good.
Crazy times. So speaking of crazy times, my first question to you is, how did you survive the last 3.5 years living through a pandemic? How did you get through it, and how did it change you?
Well, that's a great question. I hate to say this. It's an unpopular opinion. It was great for me
Yeah.
for two reasons. One is, the system that my company developed was a permanent solution for anxiety. Now, what does that mean? It means you're just perpetually calm and content no matter what's happening. You may feel the stress and the challenge of life, but you just feel challenge. You don't feel spikes. So I was just chill as a cucumber through the whole thing. And it was a great test of our tools because we're always testing it and saying, does this really work? So we went through this very difficult time. I was chill as a cucumber. People were coming to us, obviously not chill as a cucumber, to put it mildly. And we were able to help them so that they could go through the pandemic. It wasn't easy, but they were calm and centered. And then also, just to put it bluntly, sales were great because people were losing their effing mind.
Yeah.
And for some people, mental health is something that people struggle with, but some people try to avoid it. And one of the ways people try to avoid it is they can hide in their jobs or they can go hide in places. With the pandemic, you couldn't hide. You were forced to be at home with all these things. And it was a pressure cooker, and anxiety that normally people could hide from. Their stuff, they were really confronted. There was nowhere to hide. And so I shared with our clients, this is an opportunity. Because if we can avoid, we will. But you have this incredible opportunity to face this and heal this once and for all. And they were really appreciative. They took the sort of difficulty of COVID and being stuck at home and losing their mind as an opportunity to use our program to be centered and calm. And when they were centered and calm during COVID, then when COVID lifted, they were like an Avenger, man. They were
Yeah.
so happy because they had done the deep work when things were tough.
It's fascinating. You've come up with this solution for anxiety. You're a mechanical engineer. There's all these things on paper that are who you are. So I want to break this down and boil it down a little bit. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third grade students. It's career day. And one of the little curious kids looks up and says, "What do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
Well, thank you, little Timmy or Jenny, for your wonderful question. I appreciate your curiosity and you speaking up. And what I would say is, I help people be permanently happier by making complex things simple and solvable. Because as you know, a fifth grader, simple's good.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to show you how to be happy in a way that's simple.
So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream to grow up and become?
I wanted to be cool, Bob. There was this kid, Jason Brand, and I just deemed he was the popular cool kid. And I just, this is when I had these unconscious beliefs that I'm not good enough and I wasn't happy. And I now look back and realize I thought, oh, if I could just be popular, if I could be cool, I would be happy. He also had this pretty girlfriend named Jenny, and they were like, Jackie O and JFK. They were the it couple. And I just thought, if I could be cool like Jason, get the girl, I'd be happy. And I remember studying Jason, looking at his mannerisms. How did he move his hands? What did he wear? If I could just be him, I'd be cool. And then I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, that life strategy didn't work out because I actually ended up becoming a somewhat popular person. I was a well-known, very successful entertainer, kind of cool, and got the girls miserable, absolutely miserable. So I succeeded in becoming like a modern day Jason, and I was miserable. And I remember that feeling of a beautiful woman, wanting to sleep with me and thinking, oh, this is it. I'm cool now. I'll be happy. And then I was miserable. And part of me, what a letdown, right? I'd spent 20 years to figure out how to do this,
Yeah.
and then realized, oh, this means nothing. And I went to my friend and I said, I've spent all this time and energy to figure out how to get women to love me, and it's completely pointless. I'm a little irritated. And
Yeah.
he said, no, man, you don't get it. And he told me that a lot of very high enlightened souls were originally poor. No, I'm sorry. They were originally wealthy.
Right.
And he said, because if you tell a poor person who doesn't have a lot of resources, hey, money won't buy you happiness, they're like, screw you.
Right.
I'm hungry. Don't tell me this won't make my life better. But if you go to someone who's had it all and is wealthy and they're miserable and you say the outside won't make you happy, they have a real experience to go, you know what? You're right. And
Yeah.
that makes them open to then go deeper and find actual deep fulfillment. So this disappointment, I had the fame, I had the apartment, I had the car, I had the clothes, I had it all, man. I maxed out on external validation and I had it. I collected the data and I was miserable. And what a gift that was, because I used my engineering mind to say, okay, how do I create real fulfillment and solve this? Because when I went looking for personal development tools and spiritual tools and therapeutic tools, I saw what a lot of your audience sees, which is that it points to what the problem is, but it doesn't really give you the how,
Yeah.
right? They'll say, oh, it's better if you had high self-esteem. Okay, great. But like, how do I systematically build that? Or it would be better if you had a positive mindset. Okay, yeah, great. But like, how do I get from here to there? They don't have a lot of how. And also, what they teach primarily is tools and techniques and awareness to just manage the problem.
Yeah.
People, we understand that a negative mindset, not good. Positive mindset, better. So there's tools and techniques to switch your mindset. Great. But Bob, is it permanent or is it temporary?
Well, I mean, it's temporary. I mean,
It's temporary.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I saw that and I went, the engineer in me, I was trained as a mechanical engineer at UC Berkeley because I loved understanding things and I like results. I like things that work. That's just the way I'm built. And I saw that, a a lot of money is spent on personal development, spirituality, psychology, and it's not getting permanent results. And it's just very inefficient. That's the word in engineer. This is inefficient. It's constant. You're constantly having to do it. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. And so I figured out systems, how to understand human consciousness and emotions in a mechanical way. Because when you understand the mechanics of what's going on, it then you can understand the mechanisms that control things. You can also see why a system may be malfunctioning, and you can fix the system to run properly. So spirituality sounds cool, and a lot of psychology sounds cool, but it doesn't get permanent results.
Yeah.
If you want to solve something and you understand the engineering of it, you can actually solve it permanently. So that's what we did both with low self-esteem. We have a program that basically heals your low self-esteem, and we measure it's measurable results. Everything we do is measurable. And also, after I got anxiety and crippling PTSD, same thing, couldn't find a solution. And I started, I had my company spend 8 years to create a permanent solution for anxiety, to reverse engineer a permanent solution. And then my anxiety and PTSD just went away. Like 10 years ago, just gone, never came back. Been chill as a cucumber. And when we figured out that was possible, we went, oh my God, we just cracked the Da Vinci Code. But now we realized we wanted to help millions. So we spent another several years to test and optimize the program. Now it's an online program that, because of all the optimization and testing, we have a 90% success rate no matter what type of anxiety you have. But also, because I'm an engineer and I love results, and my dad always told me results is what matters. When we work with people, you don't pay at the beginning. You pay at the very end once you have measurable data that your anxiety or fear is either significantly down or completely gone. That's when we get paid. And so I'm telling you that because when I explain to you how we solved anxiety, your audience is going to say, Daniel, that sounds great, but how do I know this will work? I've heard stuff before that sounded good, didn't work. Well, you don't know it'll work for sure, but you know that we back up our results. And when people back up their results, it probably means they're getting results. So what I'm about to teach you is where your anxiety is coming from and how to solve it. Just know the very same theory I'm teaching you is what allows us to get these results that we back up.
So a lot of this evolved because of what you lived through. You got all of these things, these accoutrements in your life, and you just didn't feel good. So you found the science and the mechanics and went after a solution, and that's what you found.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So that's another confirmation of what you're doing. Not only do you pay at the end, you've lived this. This isn't something where you're like, let me just see how this works. You've literally gone through the rigors of finding this solution.
Absolutely. And it's an important point. And what I'm trying to do to bring to people through these podcasts and your listeners, because your listeners want to be fulfilled. They want to be joyful. You have smart, savvy leaders and entrepreneurs and business owners, people that want to influence the world and be successful. And they struggle with either anxiety or overwhelm, fear of rejection. Like they have fears. There's anxiety, there's panic, there's all these different ways that fear holds successful people back. And your savvy listeners have gone around and tried it all. They read the books, they've gone to the seminars, they've gone to the retreats, they've downloaded the apps. And guess what? It's managing it, maybe, but it's not getting them permanent results. And that's what people need. And your listeners, they want results. When you go to a car mechanic, they expect results. If you go to the doctor with a broken leg, you don't want to be dealing with your broken leg for 8 years. No, you want to cast and solve. So we expect real permanent results from a lot of things in this world. But when it comes to mental health, people have started to be conditioned to just tolerate Band-Aids. And I'm saying no. No more Band-Aids, just life upgrades. And I want to explain to your audience that this is a real possibility, because that's not what we're conditioned to believe. But also I want them to understand why this is possible. Because when people hear permanent solution, they say, Daniel, that sounds great, but that's too good to be true. A, you can't solve it. B, it can't be simple. And I get that. Because if you've tried a ton of stuff and it didn't solve anything, and you've had this 10, 20 years, it feels complicated. And you feel broken and like it's big. Now that's how it feels, but that's not how it is. And so I explained to people why we solved it, because if you don't understand why we solved it, you'll think it doesn't make sense. You'll think I'm just another dude talking about our anxiety that's over promising and under delivering. The reason we solved it is because, Bob, we wanted to solve it.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, Daniel, well, of course. No, not of course. Look at primarily what therapists, psychologists, spiritual teachers, and gurus and coaches primarily do. And I'm not disparaging them, but let's just look at their overall approach and business model. They go to school or whatever, and they learn some things that help manage some things primarily. So they take this helpful insights of management and they say, well, that helps a bit. And then they sell it. Fine. There's a value for that. But they are not trying to solve it. Their business model is to regurgitate old information that's just management and pass it on. Fine. But they're not trying to solve it. So can you see that if I said enough of this, no more band-aids, just upgrades, and we passionately just went after a permanent solution, can you see that we probably might have found a permanent solution when your therapist who makes a lot of money off band-aids, can you see why we found it when other people didn't?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Who's
Yeah,
been a hero for you? Who's been a motivator for you in your life?
me.
Yeah.
When we first figured out, I was in so much pain, Bob. This anxiety and PTSD. I couldn't leave the house. I was in the fetal position, and everybody in my life, my friends and family, didn't want to be around a person in pain, and they walked away, leaving me feeling even more alone, more broken, more trapped. And I wouldn't have taken my life, but I get why people do. I had no life. And because all these experts I paid $100,000 to couldn't get rid of it, I felt trapped. Now, a lot of people have been there. And what do? They just try to push through it. They maybe end it. They go to other addictions to try to numb the pain. And my mom told me a story when I was younger about this nurse called Florence Nightingale. And if you know her story or don't, but basically, Florence was a nurse in the 1850s. And she noticed that more soldiers were dying in combat. More soldiers were dying in recovery than in combat.
Yeah.
And she saw that and thought, this is a problem. We're not getting good results. And she went to the experts, the generals and the doctors, and said, this is a problem. We need to address this. And the doctors basically said, no, it's just part of war. Don't bother. But she didn't tolerate that. And she started to pay attention. And she wasn't an expert. She was an outsider. And she said, I'm going to figure this out. I can't stand to see these men die. And she discovered something incredibly simple, which was you needed better hygiene in the recovery area. So they started changing the bandages, opening up the windows, cleaning out the toilets, and separating the men from basically the sanitation. And when she did that, the infections went down and the death rate went down by 99% from a simple thing that the experts missed. So when I started my company to see a permanent solution, she wasn't a hero, but she showed me what was possible. But the fact that I was in so much pain and I said, you know what? I'm not a therapist, but I'm going to figure this out on behalf of me and the planet. And also now our program is super simple and it's cute and cuddly and it's kindergarten proof. But for me in the early stages, we didn't know if it would work, man. And it took a lot of courage and tenacity to completely change my entire way of being. And we didn't know if it would work. We had a theory. So I'm doing these exercises and we're almost running out of money. And so I'm proud of myself because of the tenacity and the courage and the vision to do this for myself and the planet. And I'm just the whole time I'm really proud of myself.
Yeah.
So I think I'm my own hero, and that may not be a popular opinion, but yeah, me.
So let me flip that coin over and ask you this. If you can meet anybody alive on the planet right now that you admire and spend a little time with them, pick their brain, who would it be?
Well, that's a great question. So he's not my hero, but it's somebody who's done something that I would like to do. His name is Marshall Rosenberg, and he was a psychologist who wrote this well-known book called Nonviolent Communication. And the reason I love the book is because it's aligned with sort of what we did. It's a very simple communication framework that has profound results. Simple thing, easily doable, profound results. He helps people get along with this very simple structure. So not only did he create that, but more importantly, he was able to create a community of thousands of people all over the world that took his teachings, started to modify them and involve them, but also bring them to millions of people. So we have built something profoundly simple and profoundly effective that could change the planet, just like Marshall's teachings. And I would love to get it to more people to make a bigger impact. So I would sit down with them and I'd say, okay, Marshall, you wrote this book. But how did you get it to the next level? How did you enroll people into your vision such that they would carry it forward? So instead of helping thousands, you could help millions.
So, speaking of that help and that motivation and drive, what is it for you every day? You've obviously overcome a lot. You're in a good space. You're helping others. What gets you up every day? What gets you to be you and to help others every day?
I mean, it's not that complicated. We're all here to serve. Um, and as we all know, when you see someone struggling and you're able to help them, it's profoundly nourishing. And the effectiveness of what we do, and that the fact, as far as I know, there is nothing out there that's engineered to solve anxiety, let alone anything that gets 90% success rate, let alone that backs up their results. But more importantly, that success rate, we're proud of that because we're engineers and we measure things. More importantly, just means when people come to us, we know we can help them. Every day I have people that come to me that have spent these years spending thousands of dollars and decades trying to solve their anxiety. Not only are they still anxious, man, they are so trapped. They are so hopeless. I had a client come to me 6 weeks ago, and he was in so much pain, not just from the anxiety. He said, Daniel, I don't have a life anymore. I can't run my business. My kids don't have a father. They're outside playing, and I'm in here curled up in a fetal position. I have tried everything, and nothing has worked. And he said, I met somebody that did your program, and they said it worked, and I'm here. Can you help me? I mean, that's meaningful. And
Yeah.
to be with someone in pain and know you can help them. And he decided to do the program. And 2 weeks in, he said, Daniel, I just want to thank you so much. I said, is your anxiety gone already? He said, no, it's down about 30%. But more importantly, your program showed me this is simple. This is doable. I have hope again. I'm going to have a life again. He said, my kids already see that I'm happier. And I went outside for the first time and I played with my kids. My kids have their dad back. My wife has her husband back. My business has their leader back. So we're all here to make an impact. Anxiety robs a person of so much potential in the world because it doesn't just affect them, it affects all the people around them. So when you're able to give a person their joy and happiness back, which transmits to their children, their wife, and you can do that in 6 weeks and you're not just managing it, you're bringing them joy. Wouldn't you get up in the morning to do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What's been the best advice you've ever gotten?
Hmm. Hmm. I don't know about the best advice, but the advice that comes to mind that was impactful to me that I would share with your audience is, and it's really at the root of what we discovered. We all know the cliche of you got to put the oxygen mask on first, right? Got to help yourself before you can help others. We all know that. What I don't think people realize is that's not a preference, like that's better. What our data showed, the root cause of anxiety, and again, I can get into it later, essentially the actual root cause that's causing the anxiety is that we have a nervous system, right? We're feeling extra nervous. It's not a problem of the mind, it's a problem of the body, specifically the nervous system, right? When you're anxious, you're extra nervous. And if you don't, and what we saw is all systems in the body need basic daily maintenance. Your teeth, you got to brush and floss, diet, balanced diet, water. So there's basic things you have to do, keyword have to do, to take care of those systems. If you don't take care of those systems with basic hygiene, mechanically, with enough time, those systems will literally go into a state of failure. If you don't drink enough water, eventually your whole adrenal system can go into failure and you can die. And what we saw that nobody was seeing was that our nervous system needed daily hygiene care. Our feelings and emotions needed daily care about 5 to 10 times a day. And nobody knows this. People know you got to take care of yourself. That's better. But nobody was bridging the gap between you need to take care of yourself every day. And if not, you are going to get anxiety. And that's what the data showed. There was a direct correlation between how well people took care of their feelings and emotions and nervous system and their anxiety levels. So when we saw that, it wasn't advice, but it was clear to me, wait a minute. it's not just good to put the oxygen mask on first. If you don't, you're going to crash and you're going to take down everybody else with you. So the advice that I wish I had earlier and that I wish everybody knew earlier was that parable of like, do it first. Yeah, it's not just a cute and cuddly parable. If you don't take care of yourself first, mechanically, it's very likely your system will crash and you'll be useless to yourself and the people around you.
So Daniel, is the practitioner of helping people get to a better place. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, your clients, but you ultimately run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I love your questions, Bob.
Thank you.
I think what fuels all of this, because it really is, it takes a lot to do this. It takes a lot to have figured this out. It takes a lot to go out every day and share this message with people. It takes a lot to be with people in pain every day and help them. It takes a lot. And I am constantly nourished and energized. And I asked my team, because I thought, what makes me me? There's something in me, but what do you think it is? Because I'd love to know so I could just appreciate it. And they said, Daniel, you really, really care. Now we all care, so it's not like I'm the superhero Avenger of caring. But they said like you really care.
Yeah.
You care about others. They said at a level we've rarely seen, to the point where you will dedicate your life to figuring out it. Like who does that? Who
Right.
does that? I spent 2 years in South Africa working with addicts to try and perfect this model. Like I was a successful entertainer, man. I was doing great. I had a plush apartment in New York. I gave it all up because I saw that the world was in pain and I cared. And what I cared about was the truth. And a friend told me that. They said, more than anybody I know, man, you just want to know what's true. And I think that's the engineer in me that wants to get to the root,
Yeah.
to what gets results. And they said, and when you know what's true, no matter how scary it is, they said you have principles where you will just devote yourself to what's true and right, no matter how scary it is. And I said, isn't everybody like that? And they said, hell no, man. Like some people, sure. But more than anybody, you are. And now when I look in the mirror and I want to appreciate myself, I appreciate how much I care. I appreciate that I want to know what's true, and that I have the courage and the principles to uphold it no matter what.
So before we get to the good news of where people need to go to hire you, to learn more about your solutions, in just a very short span, one thing here. What's one thing you'll tell anybody out there that's teetering on that line of doing something for themselves and making your method what's going to work? How would you convince them to reach out and get in touch with you?
It's a great question. So we realized that when I thought when we figured out this permanent solution where you only pay it when you get results, I thought everyone was going to sign up. No one has a permanent solution for anxiety. It's ruining people's lives. It's like a third of the planet. We have this engineered solution with no risk to try it. I thought we were just going to help so many people, and we're not. We're helping some. Why are we not helping more? People don't believe it. They think it's too good to be true, and they think it's too good to be true because they spent their whole life trying to solve it and going to experts, and nothing's worked. And so it feels complicated, and it feels like this is a sentence that you're going to have for the rest of your life. That's how it feels. And then I come along. I don't have letters after my name. I'm an outsider. I'm some guy, and they don't trust that it's possible. And they've also lost hope, and they feel broken. So they think, well, maybe it works, but it won't work for me. So no matter what I say, your audience won't fully believe me, but this is what I would tell them. Here's why this is possible. Your nervous system is just another system in the body, just like your dental system. If you don't learn to brush and floss, eventually you'll need a root canal. And once you need a root canal, your teeth are fragile. They're in a state of failure. And anytime you bite into something, you can't handle it. You feel pain. Well, that's really what anxiety is. Your nervous system is fragile. And when life pushes on it, instead of feeling the pressure of life, you feel pain. Now, if you didn't know about dentists, if you didn't know there were experts that can bring and repair a tooth and you can brush and floss, if you didn't know that, you'd have tooth pain your entire life. You'd go crazy thinking, oh my God, I'm afraid of carrots and what it is about ice cream. And maybe you'd go crazy trying to figure out why your teeth hurt. But if you ever found out that there are dentists that can repair your system and you can brush and floss, your tooth pain could go away in a matter of weeks. And I'm telling people, mechanically, your nervous system is identical. You do not have a brain disorder. You have a failed nervous system that's in a state of failure, and you're feeling the fragility. But it's a system in the body. We spend 8 years, and we'll train you how to repair it, retrain it, and then maintain it. So your anxiety goes away permanently in 6 weeks. So what I want people to know more than anything, your nervous system is in a state of failure. That's why the apps didn't work, because an app won't repair your nervous system. It's gone too far. It's why the retreat didn't work, because it didn't repair your nervous system. It's why the mindset tool was just temporary, because you need to repair your nervous system. That is why all this stuff is failing you. And I want people to reframe what's going on so they stop spending money and not addressing the root cause. But if you address the root cause, you find professionals that do this. Like you said, I've gone through this. People go to therapists that have never even had anxiety, so they don't know how to solve it, or they still have anxiety. Go to someone who has the track record and the data. That's us. I couldn't leave the house. Now I'm full of energy. This isn't cocaine. This is all natural, 10 years straight, and we have the track record and we back up our results. So I want your audience to know, before you spend another penny trying to be happier, find people who are solving things. Those are the people that know what they're talking about. But most importantly, you are not broken, you are not damaged, and you are not doomed. You were just sent to the wrong location, the mind, and you went to well-intentioned people that didn't understand this well enough to help you. But you're not doomed, and your nervous system is sending you signals for you to learn how to repair it. It's pain, but pain is not broken. It's actually, the body is brilliantly designed. Pain is not broken. It's how divine made us, that if we don't take care of something, pain is the alarm system to say, hey, you need more. Yeah. So your anxiety, hear me, just hear me. Your anxiety is not a problem. It is not a disorder. It is not a burden. It is actually a profound gift and opportunity. It is your body talking to you, telling you it needs help, and we can get you the tools and support to help and repair your nervous system so your anxiety is gone and you can just be free and fulfilled and joyful permanently.
So with that said, where's the best place for people to go to learn more about this, reach out to you, anything about your world?
Bob, you know I like things simple. True?
Yeah.
My name's Daniel Packard. What do you think? What website do you think I'm sending them to?
You're going to danielpackard.com, my man.
Gold stars for you. And at danielpackard.com, there's going to be 3 resources that your audience can download. One is, it's a list of 29 ways that you need to take care of your nervous system, because most people don't even know what that means. So check out those 29 ways to see if you're doing them or not. Then we have a quiz that you can take to find out at what level you're taking care of your nervous system or not. The data shows if you fall below a 7 out of 10, you're probably going to end up with anxiety eventually, and you can take a quiz to get your number. And then we have a 90-minute deep dive training where you really go into the mechanics of this. You understand really mechanically the mechanism that links care and anxiety, and you'll feel it in your body. And then at the end, we teach you one of our innovative techniques that you'll apply to your anxiety, and you'll actually feel your nervous system and your anxiety already starting to lower, so that you can really feel that these tools work and you can be free of this. And then if you want to do our program, there's info on the program. And then if you want to do the program, you can book a free 20-minute consultation with me. So 29 ways to take care of yourself, the care quiz, 90-minute deep dive, or to learn more about our 6-week program, Nervous System Reset, or to book a consultation with me. What is my website, Bob?
danielpackard.com.
Testify.
All right. I love it. Daniel, I love the energy, man. Thank you for your story. Keep on doing the good work, man. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much, my friend. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. Take care.